All right, so we have a shocker amp here that a customer sent in, said they're having an eye issue, where the board's constantly reading that there's something in the breech. Now we know there's nothing in there right now, obviously. We're gonna turn the gun on, see what we get. So we are getting a ball and breech right now, or something setting the eye off. Pull the trigger and it faults, but there's nothing in there. So this could be a couple different things. It could be dirty eyes. Maybe they're just so covered in goo inside there that they're blocking the sensors and it's reading, or it could be an issue with the board on the inside. So we're going to take a look. We're going to go through all of it and see. I've seen issues like this before with the amp, and so I have a pretty good idea of what this issue is. But let's get the grips off, just to have them off. And then let's go ahead. We're going to remove the frame. We'll separate this out, and then we'll start down here. We'll start with the eyes, pull the eye covers off, and look underneath. Detent is clean right there, no paint or anything on it, no paint in the cavity. Let's pull the board up and look underneath it, and no paint on this side sensor. So let's put that back on. We're going to go ahead and check the other side. Before we move on to anything else. All right. Cavity's clean. Detent's clean. Sensor has a little bit of paint on it. But none on the actual sensor itself. It was just below it on the eye wire. So I can't imagine that's done it, but let's just put this back on and check. So give it a little bend so it sits. Go in there. Go there. And then we can take our frame here and put it back on. Turn our eyes off, turn our eyes back on, and we're still reading ball and breech. So it wasn't the paint that was causing the issue right there. So we could like get into this board, replace this board, see if maybe one of these pins right here is bad or something like that, but we're going to do the next easiest thing first. So there is a common issue with the amp where these terminals that are up here at the top, and this is part of this board that runs down through here, so you can see these terminals up at the top, where they don't exactly line up with these pins that are down here. And these pins are on a spring, so when this comes up and pushes against it, these can flex and make contact properly with the board here. Now it is possible for this to be off ever so slightly where it does not communicate with the board properly. And we're not getting just an eye issue, I think, if it's the way it normally is. If it's not communicating to the eye, let's check again. So it's reading a ball in the breech. if I turn the eyes off, I don't get a solenoid click either. Like, I'm not getting anything. So this board that's down in the frame, this board right here, is not communicating with the board that's up top. So there's an issue right there. Because remember, the solenoid is plugged into this board that runs along here. So if this board and this board were communicating with each other properly, even if the eyes, there's a fault with the eyes, we should still get solenoid activation when the eyes are off and we're pulling the trigger, but we're not getting that. So my guess is that this board and this board are not lined up properly. I'm going to show you how to line it up properly, and we'll hopefully that works. So we're going to pop the battery out, and then we're going to loosen. Actually, we're going to take them all the way out. We're going to take this screw, the upper board screw, this one here, not these two. These two hold our micro switch in place, which is right under here. So we don't need to take these two out, just this one here. And then we're going to do this one here, and this one at the bottom. I'm just going to loosen it up like that. I'm not going to take it all the way out. Now, just by loosening those up, you can see that this board has some wiggle to it. Now, we can move this thing around. So what we want to do to set this up is we want to push on the board. We want to push it forward as much as we can. So we're going to just put pressure on the board forward like this. And then as we're putting pressure on it forward, I'm just trying to find a good spot to hold on to it here. There we go. We're going to put this screw back in. So I've got forward pressure on the board. And I'm putting that screw in. I'm going to tighten that down while I'm pushing on it. I want to keep that board forward, make sure that it stays tight. And I'm going to put this screw back in. Now I'm going to put my battery back in. Woo! And I'm just going to line it up. I'm going to see if it's better now. So let's see. And look at that. Eyes reading now. Let's put my finger in there. Reads my finger, doesn't read my finger. Reads it, doesn't read it. Eyes off. See if we get solenoid activation. Yes, we do. So it's really from this board being a millimeter or two too far back, it doesn't line up properly with those connectors up there. And because this board can't talk to this board, the solenoid won't activate and the eyes won't work. So it's an easy fix, which is the first thing you should look at. If you're having an issue with your eyes where they're not functioning, typically if you have a solenoid issue also, it's just because your boards aren't connected. If your solenoid is functioning but your eyes aren't working, then it's probably something else. It's a bad wire, it's a bad eye, it's a dirty eye cavity or dirty eye sensor. But that's that. Let's put this together. So we still have activation. We've got the grip on, gas off. I don't know if this has any leak issues or anything, but as far as an eye issue, that is solved and finished. So this gun can go back to the customer. Didn't need any parts. Didn't need anything, just needed the board to be realigned. And that is actually something that if you go to Shocker's website, there's a video on their own website, on their YouTube channel, about making sure that that's lined up. So it's an easy fix. If you have an amp and you have an eye issue, solenoid issue like that, check that first, because it's simple, doesn't cost anything, and it might just fix your issue. So there you go. We've got our Shocker amp back out on the field, ready to shoot some faces. See you next time. Bye.